The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with anticipation. 12,000 species, represented by their finest diplomats, crowded the massive amphitheater. Some floated in anti-gravity bubbles, others swam through specialized fluid chambers, and a few existed as pure energy contained in ornate vessels. Despite their diverse biological makeup, they all shared one thing: a superior attitude toward the primitive species inhabiting the unremarkable blue planet called Earth. Order, order. Supreme Chancellor Krax pounded his crystalline gavel, silencing the murmurs. His 7 tentacles quivered with importance as he adjusted his ceremonial sash. We gather today for the 67th planetary acquisition vote of this cycle. The subject, Sol 3, locally known as Earth. Holograms of Earth appeared throughout the chamber, rotating slowly to show the blue oceans and green-brown land masses, as you can see from the preliminary reports. Continued Krax, gesturing to the data streams now appearing alongside the planet. The dominant species has only achieved rudimentary space travel, has no unified government, and spends most of its resources on entertainment and killing each other. However, their world contains abundant water, minerals, and biological diversity that would benefit our galactic collective. Ambassador Trill, a gelatinous mass of purple goo, oozed forward. My science division has determined that humans would make excellent manual laborers. Their physical endurance is surprisingly high for such fragile creatures, and their atmospheric composition is perfect for our terraforming needs, added Representative Zorn, a crystalline entity that refracted light in hypnotic patterns. We could establish 17 new colony worlds using their genetic material as a base. Chancellor Krax bobbed his bulbous head. The motion before us is simple. Sol 3 shall be peacefully acquired, its resources harvested, and its population enslaved for the greater good of the collective. As is tradition, we will send a diplomatic force to inform the humans of their new status before beginning the harvesting process. All in favor. The chamber erupted in unanimous agreement. Not a single representative opposed the motion. Why would they? Humans were nothing but violent, short-lived primates who had barely figured out how to leave their own atmosphere. Excellent, Krax announced. Admiral Kurz will lead the diplomatic mission. The acquisition fleet will depart from Proxima Station immediately. The chamber's display shifted to show Admiral Kurz, a tall, spindly being with metallic skin that reflected the chamber's lights in dazzling patterns. His eyes, all 6 of them, blinked in sequence as he gave the traditional military salute of his species. Chancellor, Council members, I am honored to accept this assignment. Admiral Kurz's voice resonated with artificial enhancement. My fleet consists of 100 of our finest ships. We will demonstrate our overwhelming technological superiority, accept their surrender, and begin the processing within 1 standard rotation of their planet. Krax nodded approvingly. Just remember, Admiral, this is merely a formality. According to our extensive monitoring, these humans have never encountered advanced technology. They still think they're alone in the universe. The chamber erupted in laughter. Ensure your troops treat them humanely. We want useful slaves, not broken ones. As the council adjourned, not a single member doubted the mission's success. After all, what could possibly go wrong when dealing with primitive apes who spent most of their time watching moving pictures and arguing about politics? Admiral Kurz's flagship, the Inevitable Dominance, dropped out of hyperspace directly above Earth's northern hemisphere, followed by 99 equally impressive vessels. The fleet arranged itself in a formation specifically designed to induce awe and terror, a psychological tactic that had worked flawlessly on 642 previous species. Broadcast on all frequencies, Kurz commanded from his elevated command pedestal. Used their primitive radio waves, digital signals, and even their archaic television systems. His communications officer, Lieutenant Blurp, a bulbous creature with 17 appendages dedicated solely to manipulating controls, gurgled compliance. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth." Admiral Kurz's voice boomed across every electronic device on the planet. "I am Admiral Kurz of the Galactic Collective. Your planet has been officially acquired by unanimous vote of the Galactic Council. Your resources are now property of the Collective, and your population will be categorized and assigned appropriate labor duties. Resistance is both futile and unnecessary. This is not a negotiation." Kurz paused dramatically. This was always his favorite part, the moment when primitive species realized their insignificance in the cosmic order. "Please designate your planetary representative to accept the terms of surrender within one of your Earth hours. Failure to comply will result in a demonstration of our technological superiority." The Admiral settled back, expecting the typical panicked responses: emergency government broadcasts, religious leaders proclaiming doomsday, military attempts at communication. Instead, he received something unexpected. "This is Commander Jack Murphy of the Earth Defense Initiative," came a surprisingly calm voice. The view screen showed a human male with short gray hair and a weathered face that suggested both age and experience. He wore a simple black uniform with minimal insignia. "We've been expecting you." Kurz blinked all 6 eyes in sequence, a sign of confusion in his species. "You expected our arrival?" "Well, not you specifically," Commander Murphy replied, taking a sip from a mug that read "Not before coffee." "But we've been preparing for first contact scenarios for decades. Though I have to say, your opening with enslavement rather than a simple hello is disappointing." Behind Murphy, a control room full of humans appeared to be going about their business with remarkable calm. Some were even smiling. "You misunderstand your situation," Kurz recovered quickly. "Your primitive species has no choice in this matter. The Galactic Council has voted." "Yeah, about that," Murphy interrupted, setting down his mug. "We don't recognize the authority of your Galactic Council, and we certainly don't recognize your right to enslave us. So here's our counteroffer. Turn your ships around, go back to your council, and tell them Earth is not available for acquisition." Kurz's metallic skin flushed with indignation, changing from silver to a deep copper. "Perhaps you misunderstand the power differential here, human. My smallest support vessel could vaporize your largest city in seconds." Murphy's expression didn't change. "I'd really advise against that kind of demonstration, Admiral. Your primitive weapons can't even reach us at this altitude," Kurz scoffed. Murphy glanced at a female officer beside him. "Lieutenant Patel, would you mind giving our visitors a small demonstration of human hospitality?" The woman nodded and pressed a sequence of buttons. Seconds later, alarms blared across the inevitable dominance. "Admiral," Lieutenant Blurp gurgled in panic, "our shield generators are experiencing an unknown disruption, and 3 of our escort vessels report the same issue." "Impossible," Kurz hissed. "Their technology cannot." "Oh, I should probably mention," Murphy continued, now leaning back in his chair with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "we've been studying your technology for quite some time. Those crashed scout ships you lost over the years, we found them, reverse engineered them, improved upon them actually." For the first time in his distinguished career, Admiral Kurz felt a sensation resembling fear. "This is a violation of galactic law. You cannot." "Can't we?" Murphy raised an eyebrow. "You see, Admiral, there's something your council got wrong in their assessment of humanity. We're not primitive because we lack capability. We're primitive because we excel at something your species has long forgotten: warfare. Around the Earth, hundreds of previously undetected defense platforms activated, targeting the alien fleet with weapons clearly inspired by, but significantly more advanced than, standard galactic technology. So Murphy continued, tapping a stylus against his desk. Would you like to reconsider your acquisition plans? Or shall we demonstrate exactly why enslaving humans is a monumentally bad idea? The bridge of the inevitable dominance fell silent as the Admiral processed this unexpected development. Behind him, his crew exchanged nervous glances, an action that, regardless of species, translated universally as we're screwed. Explain yourself, human Kurz finally demanded, his voice losing some of its imperious tone. How could you possibly have acquired our technology? Murphy smiled, the kind of smile predators give when they've cornered their prey. Well, Admiral, funny story. Back in the 1950s, that's about 70 Earth years ago, one of your scout ships crashed in a place called Roswell. The pilot survived long enough to establish basic communication before dying. We've been aware of the galactic community ever since. But that's impossible? Yeah, we get that a lot, Murphy interrupted. Lieutenant Patel here can explain the technical details. She's our resident genius when it comes to alien tech. The camera shifted to focus on a woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind. Lieutenant Mira Patel didn't look up from her console as she spoke. Your shield technology relies on phased energy matrices calibrated to a standard galactic frequency, she explained, her fingers dancing across her control panel. Impressive but predictable. We simply designed a counter frequency that unravels the matrix at its foundation points. Basic electromagnetic theory, really. Admiral Kurz's 6 eyes blinked in perfect synchronization, a sign of extreme shock in his species. You cannot have mastered such technology in mere decades. That's the thing about humans, a new voice chimed in. The camera panned to show a tall, muscular man with dark skin and a diplomatic insignia on his collar. We're exceptionally motivated when threatened. I'm Rex Thompson, former diplomat, current head of alien cultural analysis. And you, Admiral, have made a classic xenop psychological error. Which is? Kurz asked, his metallic skin shifting to a worried blue hue. You judged our technological advancement by our public space programs, Thompson explained, leaning against a console. What you saw was NASA, ESA, and other civilian agencies. What you missed was what we were doing in secret after we realized we weren't alone. Murphy nodded. While the world thought we were arguing about politics and watching cat videos, we were actually preparing for this exact scenario. Project Firewall has been humanity's best-kept secret for decades. The screen behind the humans lit up, showing schematics of weapons systems, shield technologies, and propulsion systems that made Admiral Kurz's antennae quiver in disbelief. This is your tech, Patel continued, but better, more efficient, more creative. You see, Admiral, your species has been at peace so long you've forgotten how to innovate. Humans, on the other hand. She pressed a button, and suddenly half of the alien fleet's weapons systems went offline. We never stopped thinking about how to blow things up, she concluded with a smile that could only be described as predatory. You should see what we did with your medical technology, Thompson added. Your regeneration pods? We turned them into something that can regrow entire limbs in hours. Your communication implants? We made them interface directly with human brains. We took everything you had and asked the question your species stopped asking centuries ago. How can we make this better? Admiral Kurz sank into his command chair, his exoskeleton creaking with the weight of this revelation. So, Murphy said, leaning forward, here's what's going to happen next. You have exactly 30 minutes to recall your fleet and leave Earth's orbit. After that, we demonstrate exactly what happens when you try to enslave a species that spent its entire evolutionary history perfecting the art of violence. Kurz looked around at his bridge crew, all of whom were staring at him with expressions that transcended species barriers. They were waiting for orders, but for the first time in his distinguished career, Admiral Kurz of the Galactic Collective didn't know what to do. The retreat of the Galactic Collective's fleet was not the dignified strategic withdrawal Admiral Kurz had hoped for. It resembled more of a panicked scramble, like a group of children caught stealing cookies fleeing an angry parent. Status report. Kurz demanded as the inevitable dominance limped away from Earth, its majestic form now marred by several non-critical but extremely embarrassing system failures. 78 ships successfully entered hyperspace. Admiral Lieutenant Blurp reported, her gelatinous form quivering with stress. 14 ships are experiencing navigation system failures and are being towed. 5 ships report complete weapons system malfunction. And 3 ships. She paused, clearly uncomfortable. 3 ships what? Kurz snapped. 3 ships report that their entire database has been replaced with something called Rick Astley's greatest hits playing on continuous loop through all communication channels. Kurz's exoskeleton creaked as he slumped in his command chair. Those primitive monsters, he whispered. Meanwhile, in the emergency session of the Galactic Council, chaos reigned supreme. You assured us they were primitive. Chancellor Krax screamed at the Science Division representative, who was trying to hide behind his datapad. Your reports said they had barely mastered basic spaceflight. Our intelligence was based on their public space programs, the scientists squeaked. How were we supposed to know they were hiding their true capabilities? Ambassador Trill oozed forward, his gelatinous body rippling with indignation. This is unprecedented. No species has ever resisted acquisition. It violates all historical precedent. Perhaps, suggested Representative Zorn, her crystalline form glinting anxiously, we should consider diplomatic solutions. Offer them membership in the collective instead of enslavement? Absolutely not. Krax's tentacles flailed in agitation. That would set a dangerous precedent. Next thing you know, every primitive species will be demanding equal treatment. Back on the inevitable dominance, Admiral Kurz was attempting to salvage what remained of his dignity and career. We will regroup at Proxima Station, he announced to the fleet. Perform emergency repairs, analyze the humans' technology, and prepare a second, more forceful approach. Lieutenant Blurp gurgled nervously. Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth. The view screen flickered to life, showing Commander Murphy again, still with that insufferable calm expression. This time he was eating something from a bowl. Hello again, Admiral, Murphy said between bites. Enjoying your retreat? This is merely a strategic withdrawal, Kurz insisted. We will return with reinforcements. About that, Murphy pointed his spoon at the screen. We've taken the liberty of sending a small delegation to your Proxima Station. Just a friendly visit to discuss terms. Kurz's skin paled to a sickly white. You can't possibly have reached Proxima Station already. It's light years away? Yeah, we figured out your hyperspace tech too. Turns out, if you modulate the quantum fluctuations differently, you can increase efficiency by about 300%. But that's not the interesting part. Murphy took another bite of his food, some kind of grain in a white liquid, and continued. The interesting part is what we found when we arrived. Apparently, your defenses there were calibrated to stop external threats. No one considered that someone might just walk in the front door. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the inevitable dominance. Security breaches were being reported on multiple decks. What is happening? Kurz demanded of his security chief. Admiral, the security chief replied, voice trembling, we have intruders aboard. They appear to be humans. The door to the bridge slid open, revealing a squad of humans in sleek black armor that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their weapons were clearly derived from galactic technology but modified in ways that made them more efficient and deadlier. "Hi there," said the lead human, removing her helmet to reveal a woman with a practical haircut and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Hope you don't mind us dropping by. We thought we'd save you the trip back to Earth." Admiral Kurz, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Collective's Acquisition Fleet, pride of the military division, did the only thing his training had prepared him for in this situation. He fainted. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had devolved into what could generously be called structured chaos, or more accurately, a total meltdown. Species representatives who had unanimously voted for Earth's acquisition now couldn't distance themselves from the decision fast enough. My delegation was misled by faulty intelligence. Ambassador Trill's gelatinous form rippled with indignation. The Zeronian Empire formally withdraws its support for the acquisition, announced Representative Zorn, her crystalline structure pulsing anxiously. Quiet. Chancellor Krax's amplified voice silenced the chamber. We must present a unified front. This minor setback. The massive doors to the council chamber burst open. A human delegation strolled in as casually as if they'd been invited to afternoon tea. Leading them was Commander Murphy, flanked by Lieutenant Patel and Rex Thompson. "Hope we're not interrupting," Murphy said, surveying the vast chamber with mild interest. "Nice place you've got here. The acoustics must be fantastic." "How did you breach our security?" Chancellor Krax demanded, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "You call that security?" Lieutenant Patel raised an eyebrow. "Your quantum encryption was outdated by our standards 50 years ago." Rex Thompson stepped forward, his diplomatic training evident in his measured tone. "We've come to negotiate the terms of your surrender." The chamber erupted in protests. "Our surrender," screeched Chancellor Krax. "The Galactic Collective does not surrender to primitive species." "Funny thing about that word, primitive," Murphy mused, walking toward the central podium. "From where I'm standing, a truly advanced civilization would have opened with diplomacy, not enslavement." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, human ships hastily retrofitted with reverse-engineered alien technology were systematically disabling the Collective's key supply lines, defense stations, and communication hubs. Not destroying, simply disabling with surgical precision. "Here's the situation," Murphy continued, now standing directly before Chancellor Krax. "We've taken control of your primary shipyards at Proxima Station. Your fleet is in disarray. Your primary defense grid is now playing something called the Macarena on all frequencies. And we've introduced a virus into your central computer that will, in about 6 hours, replace all your official documents with recipes for chocolate chip cookies." Lieutenant Patel nodded. "They're really good cookies, though. You can't possibly have the resources to challenge the entire collective." Ambassador Trill protested, though his gelatinous form was shrinking in apparent terror. "We don't need to," Thompson explained calmly. "We just needed to demonstrate that we could hurt you badly enough to make enslaving us not worth the cost. Basic game theory." Chancellor Krax's color shifted rapidly through various emotional indicators before settling on a defeated gray. What are your terms?" Murphy pulled out a small device and projected a hologram of a document. "Pretty simple, really. 1, Earth and the entire Sol system are recognized as sovereign territory. 2, the Galactic Collective formally apologizes for the attempted enslavement. 3, you share your technology database with us. We've already got most of it, but there might be some interesting bits we missed. 4, Earth gets a seat on your council." "Impossible," Krax sputtered. "Council membership requires centuries of application and review." "Consider it expedited," Murphy replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Unless you'd prefer we demonstrate what happens when humans get really creative with your weapons systems?" Representative Zorn floated forward hesitantly. "And if we agree to these terms?" Then we can all be friends, Murphy said, his expression softening slightly. That's what we wanted in the first place: peaceful contact, cultural exchange, mutual benefit. You just opened with enslavement, which, I gotta say, really bad first impression. The council chamber fell silent as the representatives contemplated their options. Finally, Chancellor Crax's tentacles drooped in defeat. We will consider your terms. Great. Murphy clapped his hands together. You have 1 hour. Lieutenant Patel is getting bored, and trust me, you don't want to see what happens when she gets bored with alien technology. The signing ceremony was broadcast across the entire Galactic Collective. Representatives from all 12,000 member species watched with varying degrees of disbelief as humans, a species they had voted to enslave just 3 standard rotations ago, dictated terms to the most powerful political entity in the known universe. And with this signature, Chancellor Crax said, his voice lacking its usual bombastic quality, we formally welcome Earth into the Galactic Council with full voting rights and territorial recognition. Commander Murphy signed the document with a simple ballpoint pen, an intentional choice that seemed to baffle the assembled aliens, who had expected some advanced technology for such a momentous occasion. There, Murphy said, capping his pen. Now was that so hard? All this could have been avoided if you'd just said hello instead of trying to enslave us. A most unconventional first contact, Chancellor Crax admitted grudgingly. In our defense, it has been our standard procedure for over 6,000 years. Maybe it's time for new procedures, suggested Rex Thompson. Earth would be happy to help draft more diplomatic first contact protocols. What followed was perhaps the most bizarre aspect of the entire affair, the rapid shift from attempted enslavers to eager sycophants. Within days, Earth's embassy on the galactic capital became the most sought-after destination for representatives seeking alliances, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. It's almost sad, Lieutenant Patel remarked as she watched a procession of alien diplomats waiting outside the newly established Earth embassy. Yesterday they wanted to enslave us, today they're bringing gift baskets. That's politics for you, Thompson replied, reviewing a stack of alliance proposals. Nothing motivates friendship like fear and respect. Admiral Kurz, now serving as the Collective's liaison to Earth, a significant demotion disguised as a prestigious assignment, approached Murphy with a datapad. Commander, the Council has approved your request for access to the historical archives, he said, his metallic skin still maintaining the embarrassed copper hue it had adopted since their first encounter. Though I must warn you, some of our history is not flattering. I appreciate the honesty, Admiral, Murphy replied, accepting the datapad. That's a good first step toward actual diplomacy. Later that evening, in the privacy of the Earth delegation's quarters, Murphy, Patel, and Thompson shared a bottle of whiskey. The first Earth alcohol to become a sensation among the galactic elite. To humanity, Murphy toasted, raising his glass. The species that went from potential slaves to galactic power brokers in 3 days. To human ingenuity, added Patel, and to aliens who really should have checked their security protocols. Thompson smiled thoughtfully. You know what's really ironic? If they had just come in peace, we might have taken decades to develop the technology we reverse-engineered from their ships. Their attempt to enslave us accelerated our advancement by centuries. Poetic justice, Murphy nodded. So what's next on the agenda? Patel grinned mischievously. I've been studying their FTL communication network. Did you know we could theoretically broadcast Earth entertainment across the entire galaxy? Imagine alien civilizations binge watching our TV shows. Murphy laughed. Cultural domination through streaming services? That's diabolical. But effective, Thompson pointed out. They're already obsessed with our music and food. Might as well complete the trifecta. As the three humans plotted humanity's next steps in the galactic community, across the capital planet, Chancellor Krax was holding an emergency session with his closest advisors. "This is unprecedented," he muttered, reviewing reports of human technology spreading throughout the collective. "No species has ever integrated this quickly." "Perhaps," ventured one advisor carefully, "we should consider ourselves fortunate." "Fortunate? How so?" "Well," the advisor said, "imagine if we had succeeded in enslaving them. Based on what we've seen of their capabilities and temperament, I suspect we would not have enjoyed the outcome." Chancellor Krax shuddered, his tentacles curling protectively around himself. "Indeed, perhaps this is the best possible outcome after all." Back on Earth, humanity celebrated its new place in the galactic community with characteristic enthusiasm and creativity. Schools began teaching alien languages, restaurants experimented with extraterrestrial cuisines, and engineers eagerly incorporated alien technology into new innovations that would soon make their way back to the stars. And somewhere in a classified facility, a team of Earth's best scientists examined a strange device acquired from the Galactic Archives, something labeled experimental planetary teleportation technology that had been deemed too dangerous to pursue. "Too dangerous for them, maybe," murmured a scientist with a gleam in her eye. "But for humans, this could be just the beginning." The universe, it seemed, had no idea what it was in for.